All right, welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us this evening. My name is Amber. I am the event coordinator here at Nature's Fair Markets. And I am super excited to introduce you guys to today's speaker, Caitlyn Vanderhaeghe, co-founder and CEO of KidStar Nutrients. Today, Caitlyn is going to share practical insights on nutrient deficiencies in kids, how to spot the signs, and what we can do to ensure our children are getting the nutrients they need to thrive. So please join me in welcoming Caitlyn Vanderhaeghe.
Thank you so much, Amber. I really appreciate everyone taking the time tonight to listen to this webinar, and hopefully everyone leaves with some practical advice that they can use every day with their own kids at home. I'm going to restart the presentation, right, Amber? Here we go. See that now? Right? We're good, Amber? I think we're good, right? So it'll tell me if I'm not good.
Yeah, looks good over here.
Wonderful. I was like, we're both very little in the corner, so I'm like, I'm going to say yes.
Yes.
So a little bit about me before we start. So I am a mom of 3. My oldest daughter just started high school this year, so we're starting a whole new adventure in our house. So we are 13, 11, and 8 are the ages of my girls currently. I was lucky enough to have grown up in the health and wellness space. That is a picture of me, that little blonde kid, in about 1986 in the Alive magazine. And of course, that topic as well is how do you feed your children right and get them to like it, which is pretty much a daily thing for all families. We're always trying to feed our kids the right foods, make sure they're getting everything they need, but also we don't want to fight with our kids. We want to make sure they also are enjoying what they're eating. So I've been in the industry for over 20 years. And KidStar Nutrients is a female-led, family-operated business out of Vancouver, BC. So we're going to jump right back into it because, of course, we jumped right back into back to school last week, and it seems like it's just a whirlwind already with emails and everything that's happening. So as we get back into school, we get back into new schedules, routines, and we have additional behavioral stressors that do occur because, of course, we had all summer where basically we had no rules. And now we're right back into extracurricular sports, sometimes multiple ones, a full day at school, and of course, we're trying to feed our kids at the same time. So why does this all matter? Well, diet does influence our attention, our learning, our mood, and behavior. So how we're feeding our kids and how their behavior is actually are directly linked to each other. So we'll definitely talk a lot about that. And as those routines shift, nutrition often slips. It becomes we'll think about that later scenario. And so now that we're back in the classroom and back to after school activities, we really need to start supporting our kids' nutrition at the same time. And we have food that fuels our growing brains. We want to be feeding our kids varieties of things. You know, that's probably the hardest part about being a parent is making sure that our kids are actually eating the things that we are putting out for them and that we're purchasing for them. This diagram I really like because I always say that grains column there is like the vessel of getting all the food into our kids. So it's always easy, you know, if you can get a pretzel cracker or something like that where they can dip it and add it and incorporate it somewhere else, it makes it more fun for them. So we do want to make sure we're hitting all these food groups on a weekly basis, not a daily basis, on a weekly basis to make it nice and easy to ensure we're getting everything we need. And of course, we have to make these choices every single day, multiple times a day, for multiple children. And it is overwhelming. So if you want to think about it in a little bit more of a simplistic fashion, breakfast, we want to ensure that we have some kind of protein, some fiber, a healthy fat. You know, you could do yogurt, berries, and nut butter. Those are kind of more of a simple one. Some toast and nut butter, some banana, you know, an egg wrap. We're trying to find simple things to do to put it together so that we start the day off right. And we want to ensure that that first meal they have has high protein and a good amount of fiber to set us up for the day. When we hit that lunchtime, we really want to look at the same thing again. And these lunch boxes are a great visual for it. We want to have a carb, a protein, and of course some color. And, you know, depending on your kid, they may only like certain foods, and that's fine. We're going to stick to those for a while, making sure that they still hit those three things. In our family, we love the Silver Hills bread. They have multiple different types. So that one is a must in our home. And of course, you can get deli meat that is a variety of qualities. So some people do shaved meat. Some people look at the sulfate-free meat. And then, of course, if your child just likes a certain type of meat, then you just do that because you're all surviving and that's what we need to do. So there's no stress over what you're purchasing on that front, but there are lots of options available. For us, we always have some sort of fruit and some sort of veggie, cherry tomatoes, grapes, carrots. And the one thing about this is lots of kids love certain foods with a dip. And so think about the hummus and think about any other yogurt dips that you could have, because a lot of kids will eat a variety of foods as soon as they're dipped in something. And so again, it's the vessels to get the foods in the body. And snacks, we're always thinking about snacks, and after school is a big issue with snacks because kids are really hungry after school, and you can end up having the after school collapse because of it. So you want to think about what you can offer up right after school so that those kids can make it to dinner without having a sugar crash or a behavioral meltdown because they are hungry. This is actually, so a lot of people talk about food diaries. That's a lot of work, and not a lot of people want to do that. I never wanted to do it as a parent. When we were having issues in our house, there was no way it was going to happen. But an easy way to think about a food diary is your receipts at the grocery store. If you look at that receipt and you think, okay, I'm definitely purchasing a variety of fruits and vegetables, some good amounts of protein, some good snacks in the house, that's good. That's step one. And then you think, is anybody eating the food that I'm purchasing, or am I throwing it all at the end of the week? So that's a good way to think and gauge about what's actually coming into the house and who's eating it. And of course, we have our picky eaters. And adults are pickies too, very picky eaters as well. A lot of adults eat the same meals every single week. And they pretend like they're not picky because they're the ones that are actually purchasing those meals and no one is telling them they can't eat it. But when it comes to a kid, we are, of course, right on them all the time about what they're eating, how they're eating it, and when they're eating it. And so we notice it more, obviously, in children. So we want to ensure that our kids are getting multiple points of exposure to new foods. It can take up to 10 plus times for you giving a food to a child before they will even try it. You want to start small, and you want to work your way up, and you want to listen to your child. This is not supposed to be a stressful experience. It's just more like having the foods around the house and the whole family eating them makes it easier and more comfortable for other children in the house to try them. So if you're not eating it, they're definitely not going to eat it. So, of course, we would love to be getting everything we need from food, but that actually isn't the case. And if it was the case, many people would be eating 24/7 to ensure they're getting all the things they need every single day. And it's not just us. Research also agrees we're not getting enough nutrients from the foods we're eating. So 70% of kids ages 1 to 13 are not getting basic vitamins and minerals from their diet, and 45% of kids are not eating enough calcium to prevent osteoporosis. 7 out of 10 kids had inadequate vitamin D intake. These are high percentages for our small kids here. And there's also an issue with the foods that we are eating these days. So there's an alarming decline in the nutritional quality of the food we're eating. So our biggest challenges for future generations' health is actually that there's less nutrients in the foods we are currently consuming than when our parents were young. So we are definitely growing food in over-processed soils. We're also picking foods way before they're ripe, and then we're shipping them long distances. And so, of course, they're going to have less nutrient value once it's made its destination. We all consume too many packaged and processed foods. It's just the way it is. We are busy. We're trying to feed our families, and we're doing it in a limited time span. Growing kids have increased nutritional needs. If any population needs supplements, it is the kids population. They are growing from in utero to about 18 years of age, and they will not reach their full potential if we're not giving them the nutrients that they need for that growth. Poor digestion and digestive issues, we'll talk about this later. This one's really important. If you do not have a healthy gut, then your body is not absorbing the nutrients from the foods you're actually eating to make sure that you're going to get them. And then, of course, 5 are picky eaters. The really important thing here is that even our pickiest eaters, we need to ensure they're getting the great quality nutrients, and this is where a multivitamin comes in. When you want to think about a multivitamin is the umbrella. So it has a little bit of everything in it to ensure that you're meeting all of your children's needs. So when we look for multivitamins, we want to ensure that it's actually made for kids. So I know kind of people say, oh, well, of course, but a lot of people actually give supplements that are not meant for children to them. So when a product is formulated in Canada, when it is released to a certain population, like a child, all of the tests are done based on body weight. So if that product is not meant for children, it may have higher limits, like let's say heavy metals, in it, because it's based on an adult's weight, not a child's weight. So very important to ensure you're giving your child a child's formulation. The form of nutrients matter, and of course, all the ingredients, medicinal and non-medicinal, so the ones that sweeten it or color it, are all important. And this is just a little kind of brief breakdown of what a water-soluble vitamin is. That's something that you would end up peeing out in theory. So if you have too much vitamin C, that's when your pee turns bright yellow. Same with the B vitamins. And then a fat-soluble vitamin is essential as well for vision, bone health, immune function. And these ones would be more, they would build up. So you want to fill the gaps with the multivitamin. That is its purpose. So we have food first, and then we have a supplement, which really supplements the diet, and it equals your total overall health. So you want to ensure that when you're choosing a multivitamin, that you still look at those things. Meant for a child, has great quality ingredients. The non-medicinals are just as important as the active ingredients. So something like our Star Multi, which is actually colored with blue spirulina. So even the color is an antioxidant. And we've added fruits and veggies into this formula so that you're going to be getting fruits and veggies on top of having vitamins and minerals in the product. And it has also some iron in it as well, which we will talk about later. And this one also has no sugar in it. So it's teeth-friendly xylitol, which actually, as you choose xylitol, it actually helps prevent cavities in kids. And this is a fully vegan product. And nutrients that kids need, but are also hard to obtain. So we talk about our multivitamin as being our safety net. And then we want to look within our diets and see, well, what else do we need? What else are we not eating? So omega-3s, the numbers are crazy. Like the fact that this is even happening, 78% of kids are not getting enough omega-3 from the diet. 78%. That is a huge number. Now, I know for a fact this is true because in my house, my kids barely touch anything that is rich in omega-3s. It's just not their preferred food. So we have to supplement. It's just a must. And this really does matter because our child's brain is actually made up of 60% fat. And that fat makes them smart. So we have the three main omega-3 fatty acids, ALA, DHA, and EPA. And those omega-3s are very important for developing brains. So we have cognitive function, behavioral development, eye development, and the synthesis of neurotransmitters. So it's extremely important that we are consuming enough omega-3s every day. And this research, while we were doing this slide deck, we were looking at all the research on omega-3s. And of course, it comes up again and again and again that omega-3 fatty acid supplementation improves attention deficit hyperactivity disorders symptoms in children. So this specific study actually had parents and the kids doing validation tests afterwards about symptoms, and they all reported a benefit in the symptoms. So also there are a number of naturopaths out there and physicians that talk about making sure that all kids have enough omega-3s because you want to ensure that our kids are not being diagnosed with things like ADHD or any other behavioral symptoms or disorders when they have a nutrient deficiency that may be causing these symptoms. So our best sources of omega-3, of course, small sustainable fish. We also have seaweed and algae for the vegans. So there's definitely a lot of options out there. But if your family or your kids do not want to eat these types of foods on a weekly basis, supplementation is a must. And same with our mothers who are pregnant, ensuring we get enough omega-3s during pregnancy and infancy and beyond. And how much do we need? Well, this is on the low end. This would be someone, all ages. We want to make sure we have more than 100 milligrams of EPA and DHA for our kids. In adults, we want 250 to 500 milligrams of EPA and DHA. And then during pregnancy, we want over 200 milligrams. This is on the low end. You can definitely increase it based on individual needs. And of course, for those brains, those eyes, those bones, those teeth, and for our kids that are not eating omega-rich foods, a supplement is where that fits. So this is actually a chewable soft gel. So kids can swallow it or they can chew it. And the soft gel itself actually has a flavor in it. It's lemon blueberry with a little bit of milk to make it sweet. But the really important part here is that just 2 of these tiny little chewable soft gels gives you 250 milligrams of DHA and 50 milligrams of EPA per serving. And it also has vitamin D3 in it as well, which is extremely important for us living in Canada. Because this vitamin D3 is, of course, in a fat, it also makes it even better absorbed in our body. And as we're talking about our immune health and our bone health and all the things we're not getting from our diet that are really hard for us and our kids, we really want to look at vitamin D. Now, when you have a baby in Canada, the first thing you're told to do is start supplementing with vitamin D from birth because it is so important. So it is important for immune health, strong bones, and happy babies. This is just a little quick trick. If your shadow is longer than you are, that means you're not making vitamin D3 from the sun. So I think that that's going to start in the next few weeks here in Vancouver, and it probably ends in about May or June, depending on our weather. So remember, if your shadow is longer than you are not getting adequate vitamin D3 from the sun. And there's actually quite a bit of vitamin D deficiency in Canada because of where we're located is number 1. So they actually found that 1/3 of Canadians had insufficient levels of vitamin D, and it also stated that this number did rise to 40% during the winter months. And in the summer, we're at 25%. So we all need to ensure that we're supplementing with vitamin D. It's, of course, the sunshine vitamin. This is one of my favorite photos of the slides. It is a fat-soluble vitamin, and it is made in the body when skin is exposed to UV light, and then it is converted into D. And it has a lot of roles. Of course, our immune system. We're back at school. We don't want our kids to be constantly getting sick. We need to ensure that their immune system is nice and strong. We have keeping the bones strong and healthy. We want to reduce the risk of autoimmune diseases. We want to support our brains. We want to regulate mood and function, and we want to lower the risk of cardiovascular conditions. And vitamin D does all of these things. And of course, we just simply aren't getting enough, and it is not just because of being in Canada. We also live mostly indoors. Our kids are in schools. We're at the office. We don't go outside during optimal times of the day to get vitamin D from the sun. And of course, when we do go outside, we have hats on, sunscreen, sunglasses, sun shirts. We are covered head to toe because we don't want to burn our skin. And of course, there are limited food sources of vitamin D. These are the food sources. Mushrooms actually have vitamin D3 if they've been exposed to UV light, but most of the sources are vitamin D2. And from birth, we're told to do about 500 IUs for our infants, children about 500 to 1,000 IUs of vitamin D, and then our adolescents and our adults can go from 1,000 and up. And something that's really simple, which we've noticed in our KidStar line, is that as a mom of 3, having multiple products in the house that can only be taken by one group or another becomes very frustrating. So a product like our KidStar Vitamin D3 is actually for 0 months all the way up to adults. So every single person in the house can take the exact same product. It has actually 375 sprays in this tiny bottle, and it tastes like an orange creamsicle. So it's actually a lot of fun to also use and take. Now, what nutrient, see if anyone can guess this one, what nutrient is essential to obtain through diet, as humans cannot produce it ourselves? The slide color may help as well on this one. It is vitamin C. So vitamin C is extremely important. It is important for the whole family, but of course also for kids. We want to bring it back to the more kids have missed days at school, the more days the adults miss at work as well. And if you have multiple children and one kid gets sick, everybody in the house is going to end up getting sick, and it's back to back to back. So we want to ensure that our kids are eating vitamin C rich foods because they're extremely important for immune health, for iron absorption, bone health, skin health, and actually wound healing. So it's important on a variety of levels. Now, thankfully, many kids like fruit. So this is a little bit easier to consume on a daily basis, but I have met a number of children that have never eaten a piece of fruit before. They cannot eat a piece of fruit, and they don't even want to try. So the families that are in that situation, if you aren't into some of the like red peppers and tomatoes and other things, make sure you are supplementing because it is a very important food group. And how much do we need? Well, vitamin C is water soluble, which means your body cannot store it. So you do end up peeing it out if you have too much of it. And these are the upper limits for vitamin C on a daily basis. This is not when you're sick or when you've been prescribed a different amount from your practitioner. So for our little kids, it's 400 milligrams. For our 4 to 8 year olds, it's 650. And for our teenagers, it's 1200 milligrams. And a vitamin C should never contain sugar. Now, vitamin C's job is to make us healthy. And the amount of products I've seen with sugar added to it is just mind-boggling to me. It's more of an oxymoron because sugar actually can turn off our macrophages, which is our fighting power in our bodies. So we want to ensure that we have a sugar-free vitamin C chewable. This one is sweetened with inulin and xylitol. And it actually has 250 milligrams per tablet of magnesium ascorbate, which is actually a buffered magnesium, which means it's significantly more gentle on your digestive system. This one even has organic fruit added to it. So again, we're getting our organic fruit powders in our product along with the magnesium ascorbate. Wherever we can possibly add fruits and veggies to our products, we do because we know how important it is and how hard it is to get our kids to eat the foods we want. Now, again, back to school. This first month is always feels like a whirlwind. Someone gets sick and then it's like domino effect. So allergies, frequent colds and flus, missed school days. What do we do? How do we prevent all of this from occurring, and why is it occurring? Well, it's actually occurring because our immune system is imbalanced. So we're going to have an underactive immune system. We're getting all the colds and flus and our body cannot defend itself. And then we can have an overactive immune system on the other side. That's where our body's overreacting to what is occurring. That's where you get those allergies. You get psoriasis, you get joint pain, you get inflammation. We need our bodies to get back in balance, and so we're better able to defend all the things that come at us all year. So look how happy this person is. We want to balance and not boost our immune system so that we don't have increased inflammation for potential autoimmune actions. We definitely need it to be balanced. And a product that actually came into Canada in 1997 is called Moducare. And this is a combination of plant sterols and sterolins, and it's in a clinically researched ratio of 100:1, and it's for kids and adults. And it is perfect for back to school. I always say this is like a teacher's perfect product because you really need to ensure that we're at the best spot possible for all the germs and all the things and all the stressors coming at us to ensure that we actually can perform the level that we need to. And there's 25 years of research on this product. Actually, when it came into Canada in the late 90s, I actually started taking it as a child, and I have been taking it ever since. So it actually balances our immune system, it lowers cortisol, it increases DHEA, but never too much of either or. It makes sure it gets right back into balance. There's a number of studies on allergies in kids, and also studies on marathon runners and being able to recover faster, because being a marathon runner is actually very hard on your body. So this study was Moducare and kids with allergies, and after 6 months of treatment with Moducare, children experienced significant improvement in their symptom severity, and they all experienced improved nasal airflow. There's a number of studies also on postnasal drip, so not having the drip into the back of the throat, so that scratchy feeling was also reduced. We always say, back to school for Moducare. You have less sick days, less days off work. It helps teachers fight against all the new germs they're getting, because again, they have 20 plus kids in their class. All those kids have siblings. It's just a lot going on. and it helps prevent those fall allergies and spring allergies. And you can take it daily. You do not need to stop Moducare. You can take it all year long. It's just some fun testimonials on Moducare, because people have really, their lives have changed. They've been able to do and have cats in the house. The allergies are down. They have less cold and flu days, and it is just working very well. Chewables are for kids. The Veggie Cap is for adults. Now, I'm just going to touch on this one. I know I have a lot of things to cover, so don't worry. But this is a really important topic with kids backed up in the bathroom. So constipation and kids going back to school. Now, there are kids that are afraid to use washrooms at school. There are kids that are constipated before they get to school. And then, of course, being at school and being afraid or holding it in just makes it worse. The longer you hold in your stool, the drier it becomes. And then when you do go try to actually go to the washroom, it hurts more. And then the fear comes back in, and it is a vicious cycle. So we definitely know that the gut produces 90% of the body's total serotonin. So an unhappy gut, a constipated gut, is an unhealthy mood and an unhappy child. And whatever we can do to have our kids be happy and healthy, we should try to do. So be regular. This is just showing you that if you have tummy troubles, you can have a lot of different health issues associated with that. And we have two different things that are going on in our digestive system that we can definitely help with food and with supplements. So we definitely could use some good quality probiotics. These are beneficial bacteria that maintain or improve the good bacteria living in your gut. They support immune and digestive health, as well as your mood. So happy gut, happy mood. Prebiotics, these are the food for the good bacteria in your gut, and it is the best type of fiber. Not all fibers are prebiotic. And everybody poops, everybody. So we should talk about it a lot more. You can also print these signs off, put them in your bathroom. Make sure you talk to your kids about it, because they may not know they're constipated. They could be saying, I'm fine, I'm fine, I'm fine, when they are clearly not. And they could be having a much nicer experience in the washroom if they were a type 4 and a type 3 in the bathroom. You can go up to 3 times a day, and you can go 3 times a week and still be considered normal bowel movements. But what it looks like is actually extremely important versus how often you go. Now, a quick tip for you, or I guess a question for you. Do you know the average time it takes to have a bowel movement? It's very interesting to see what people think of this. So do put it in the chat, and we'll see if anybody gets it. How long should we be sitting on that toilet before we pass a bowel movement? Maybe a few seconds to figure it out. It is 12 seconds. That is how long it should take, 12. We should not need an iPad. We should not need a cell phone. We should not be sitting there for a long period of time. Actually, sitting on the toilet is worse for you than just getting up and coming back later. It can cause hemorrhoids. It can cause straining. It causes a whole host of problems. So 12 seconds is the average time it should take to move a bowel movement. 12. I know, it's shocking. And of course, we definitely always want to talk about bathroom anxiety. Talk to your kids. Some kids need to have a system in place. So they try to go to the bathroom in the morning before they go to school. Maybe at lunchtime they try. Maybe they take a buddy with them if they're scared of the bathroom. Make sure at the end of the day they get out of that school and into a washroom if that's what they need. Because holding it in is no fun for anybody, and it can cause a bunch of other issues for our kids. You can try something like Be Regular. You would just add 1 scoop of Be Regular to your kid's water. It mixes in clear. There's no taste. You can add it to orange juice, and that will just give your child a little added smooth regularity to their day. And you know, if you want to think about the foods we're eating, fiber helps so much. Actually, when you eat fiber with a high sugar food, it lowers the glycemic index, so we don't have that huge spike and the drop. So taking something like Be Regular will also help with those sugar spikes. Think about Halloween and all that sugar. If you have a fiber-rich meal before they go out trick-or-treating, they actually will have less crash happening. Adults need about 35 grams of fiber a day, but the rule of thumb for kids is you need to add 5 or 10 to their age to estimate how many grams of fiber they do. So it's actually quite a bit, but you can get it in multiple of things. Of course, this is what Be Regular looks like, and it is nice and easy on the digestive system. It regulates your digestive system. It is not a laxative, so don't worry about that. It's great for if you want to regulate your glycemic index as well. Again, the most important part here is that gut health and nutrient absorbency are interrelated, and a happy gut is a healthy gut, so it's all together. Now we have here our most common nutrient deficiency worldwide. This one is extremely important for our little kids and growing kids, and of course our teenagers. It is iron deficiency. Iron deficiency is the most common nutrient deficiency in the entire world and also here in Canada. This is a long list of signs and symptoms that you may actually have yourself or your child. If you have more than 3 of these, you could have low iron. You should head to the doctor, find out your numbers, and then move on from there supplementing and get back into a good number. But this is really what I want to talk about is what it looks like in kids. So the easiest one is our dark under eye circles. You can see it when a kid walks up to you. You can see that dark under eye circle right away. That part of our skin is extremely thin, and so the rich oxygenated blood, which is red, goes through that area of your skin, and you can see it. Now, if it's not as rich and full, it's going to be a pale color, and you can notice it right away. We're only going to talk about a few more of them, but a big one is pica, kids eating non-food items. Heavy metals, this is a big issue here. So if you're eating non-food items, they could be high in heavy metals. We want to ensure that our heavy metals are at bay, and iron pushes them out of the body. So if you have good iron levels, we normally have low heavy metal as well in the body. Chewing ice is a sign of iron deficiency, and it's also pica. All those pregnant moms you see chewing ice, it is not you don't have to be pregnant and want to chew ice. That is actually a sign of iron deficiency. So ensure that those moms as well are getting their iron levels checked. Difficulty sleeping, that's how my daughter ended up. We found out she was iron deficient. She didn't sleep for 2 years. I was pregnant with my 3rd child, and I could not go on much longer. We headed to the pediatrician, and we found out she was iron deficient. And of course, dizziness, heartbeat, rapid breathing, all issues. The most important one here is number 8, difficulty concentrating, learning, and delayed speech. Now, once we get into school, teachers start flagging our children. They start categorizing them. They start noticing things. And this here, if you have been sent to the pediatrician or your general practitioner and asked for an assessment of your child, and they did not do blood work to ensure they did not have a nutrient deficiency, go back and ask for blood work, because iron deficiency has a lot of the same signs and symptoms as ADHD and other behavioral differences. And we want to ensure that it's not just a nutrient deficiency, either making those symptoms worse or causing them all together. This is the thing I was telling you about. Pull it down. It should be bright pink inside. You can easily do that in the mirror at home with you and your kids. Nice and simple. So in Canada, we have the Canadian Pediatric Surveillance Program, and they concluded that iron deficiency in infants and children is a public health concern. I don't know why we don't talk about it more, but it is. So this is what it looks like across Canada. So Vancouver's got 24%, and then Halifax is at 51%. And these are middle-class infants. So the socioeconomic status did not matter. They all had access to appropriate food. And if we want to think about what is iron, well, it is simply a mineral that is naturally present in foods and is added to some foods as an end, of course. So it's fortified in some foods, and it's also a dietary supplement. And it has a very important role in the body, but the biggest thing here is it moves oxygen throughout the body. So if you have low iron, you have less oxygen moving throughout your body, which is where you get the dizziness, the lightheadedness, and the grumpiness and the moods. And we really become iron deficient in a multitude of ways. But I want to say the most important thing is you can be born iron deficient. If mom had a complicated pregnancy, baby could be born iron deficient. And then let's say they're not getting enough iron in their breast milk, or they don't start eating enough iron-rich foods at 6 months. It just can continue, and it's just you're losing iron as you go. Simply not eating iron-rich foods, so vegans, vegetarians, blood loss. Our teenagers, 2 heavy periods can put you into iron deficiency, just 2. And so as our teens are starting their menstrual cycle, we really need to start asking questions. How are you doing? What does it look like? Do you need to supplement? Do we need to get a blood test done? Growing infants and children, as I said before, and sports and exercise. The more you work out, the more you sweat, the more iron you lose. If you have kids in multiple sports throughout the week, running around, doing all the things, we need to ensure that we're making sure that they have nutrients in them and good amounts of iron to support all the exercise they are doing. And it's for everybody in the entire family. At every age and stage, we need iron. There was actually a really good study done on teenagers, and it actually showed that teenage girls' test scores improved by simply taking a maintenance dose of iron because they were able to concentrate. Simply being able to concentrate from having low iron to adequate iron, their test scores increased. Pregnancy, about 30% of pregnant women are iron deficient. That number is actually higher now. A UBC study did a test on women in Vancouver, and they found that 80% of those women had inadequate iron intake, and they all were taking a prenatal with iron. And we really want to talk about behavior, because this is really, we're in school, this is happening around us all the time, and if we're not eating right and we don't have the right nutrient levels, it can actually lead to all of these problems. We have development delays, we have long-term effects, some things we can't reverse if they were low iron at birth and we didn't catch it for a few years, cognitive impairments, sleep issues, so it's extremely important. And of course, I was talking about it already, our teens need iron. We need to focus a lot on our teens. Of course, they're having a growth spurt at that age, and this is boys and girls. So we really need to focus on their diet because, of course, as they become teenagers, they have more autonomy over what they're eating. They're being a lot more independent. So we need to focus a lot on them as well. And, of course, the sports and exercise at the same time. You can get heme iron and non-heme iron from our food. So our heme is like our animal-based products, and non-heme is our vegetables and vegetarian items. Now, heme iron is better absorbed in the body. Non-heme iron has a less absorption, it's from like 2 to 20%. So that one you need to really focus on how much you're eating of non-heme iron. So if you're a vegan or vegetarian, you really have to focus on which ones you're eating. The darker the vegetable, the better, has more iron. And then of course, the bloodier the meat, it has more iron. So it's kind of how you can look at it to make it really nice and simple. Some kids, and of course, some kids love steak and that's the only meat they're going to eat. That's fine. It has a lot of iron in it. And some kids will not touch any type of meat. So that's where we need to focus on supplementing if they're not eating enough of the non-heme iron daily. This is extremely important. Children who drink milk are at an increased risk of iron deficiency. Cow's milk is not recommended for children under the age of 12 months. 1, it makes them full, and 2, it actually hinders iron absorption. And of course, if you have a full child on cow's milk, they're not going to be eating any other foods. So we do have to focus on that a lot. And this is not just kids. If you are a latte lover, this is also you. So make sure you're counting the lattes that you're drinking and focusing on what you're eating to ensure you're also getting all the iron you need from your diet. This is just what we need every day. These are maintenance levels. It's about 10 to 15 milligrams up until we hit pregnancy. Then it's 30 milligrams a day. I want to remind you, these are if you have adequate iron levels already. So if you are not iron deficient, this is what you need. If you are iron deficient, then you need to find out from your doctor how much more you need to take, and you would do that for 3 months, get retested, and do it again. This is what it looks like when you get tested. Testing is not scary. If you think your child has iron deficiency, it is worse to not test and not do anything about it than to go through the mild inconvenience of getting their blood work done. You can go to a children's hospital. They have specialists to make it nice and easy for everybody. And you don't just want any iron product if you have to go to a supplement. If you're not eating the right amount of foods, supplementing is just a nice way to get you through a patch where you will need extra iron. So you want to have a micronized encapsulated iron because we do not want any nasty side effects for our kids when they have to take an iron supplement. Many pregnant moms probably think of all the iron products they've taken and they're like, I can't give that to my kid. Don't worry, there is something better. And there is a micronized and encapsulated iron for the entire family. It is the BioFeed Iron line, and it is for 0 months all the way up to seniors. There is something for every age, stage, and preference because everybody likes something different. And so we do have an option for everybody. and there's no constipation, no sting teeth, and it actually tastes good. And so now that we've talked about the foods, what to eat, and that supplements bridge that nutritional gap, we also want to make sure, just to fill it in, that the whole label matters. And that's what's really great about Nature's Fair, is that they also look at the whole label while they are choosing products for their stores. Every ingredient matters, and you will not find these in our KidStar products. We make products we're proud to give our own family. We would never make a product that we wouldn't give our own children. And of course, you have to touch on sugar because it's in everything. Even if we don't want it to be there, it is there. So we found out that kids ages 2 to 8 were getting about 101 grams of sugar a day, which is equal to about 24 teaspoons of sugar, added sugar in their diet. So the big thing here is that sugar actually turns off your immune system for several hours. Well, we don't want that to happen with our kids, because then, of course, we're home with them from work as well. And this is what it looks like. Of course, they have swords and everything in your body. Sugar shuts off the virus fighting for up to 5 hours, and you want to make sure your children's immune support products and supplements do not contain sugar. Sugar belongs in our treats and our additional items in the day, and that's where they should stay. There's a million means of sugar, so I had to put them down there because everyone's like, oh, it's just sugar. No, there's tons of different ways they can write sugar on a label. And of course, artificial sweeteners, we're going to see artificial flavors and colors. All of these things should not be in your children's supplements because they are meant to keep you healthy, and they should not be in our pharmaceutical products. So as consumers and stores choosing those products that go into the store that are clean label is extremely important for all of us. This is just the colorful chemical rainbow. We're very lucky that the US has started phasing some of these out. The EU also has banned some, and I'm hoping that Canada is next. So this is just the FDA in the States. They're working to eliminate 6 of the remaining that it dies from the supply chain. So that's a very exciting win for all of us. The artificial flavors, they pack a powerful punch. They're extremely easy to use in manufacturing, which is why most companies use them, but we do not need them in our supplements, especially supplements for kids. I wanted to thank everybody here for attending tonight. I really appreciate you all taking the time to sit through the entire presentation. Thank you as well, Amber.
Thank you. Wow, Caitlyn, that was amazing. We have so much more knowledge now, and I have a couple questions from our attendees here. So the first question, can you take Star Multi Omega-3 and vitamin C all together?
Yes. You can take all of the KidStar products. They're all meant, the dosages on them are all meant so you can take all of them within the same day. Of course, the iron products, you would choose one iron product. But yes, they're all meant so that you can take them all. Star Multi, Omega, Vitamin C, all perfect to take together.
Okay, great. I think that answers our next question too about the Moducare and the Star Multi together as well then.
So yes, and Moducare, the only recommendation on that product is you take it away from animal fats because it can compete in the small intestine. But they even said if you do take it at the same time as something else, don't worry, it's not going to be ineffective. So that's the only thing on Moducare.
Great. And then I had a question from earlier in the presentation. Should you take vitamin D with K2 to help absorption?
Yes. So you don't need the K2 for the vitamin D to be absorbed. They are a great combination product for bone health. Now, we do have vitamin D3 and K2 in our Star Multi, which is why our standalone vitamin D3 spray does not have K2 in it, so that you can take them together as complementary products.
Amazing. If anyone has any other questions, please throw it in the chat right away. I will let everyone know that KidStar's entire line is on sale right now at Nature's Fair Markets until the end of the month. So if you're looking for any of these products that were discussed this evening, drop by one of our stores. Oh, one more question came through. Are these supplements food allergy friendly, free of common allergens?
Yes, free of common allergens, but if you have a specific allergy to anything, always you can email us at info@kidstarnutrients.com, and we're happy to answer any specific allergy questions.
Great. Amazing. Well, thank you guys all for joining us this evening. As I just mentioned, all of these products are on sale right now at Nature's Fair Markets. They also have this fun giveaway in store to get the backpack giveaway, like on Caitlyn's slide. And we also, everyone who attended this evening will be receiving a 10% off coupon for Nature's Fair Market. This coupon is valid store-wide. So watch your email for that. Should be arriving probably first thing in the morning. And that will be valid in store until September 14th. So thank you all for joining us and have a wonderful evening.
There's one question there, Amber, I wanted to answer. One new one. Yes. Paola, the very thin. So actually, when you're iron deficient, you don't want to eat. So it's a little bit of a vicious circle. So sometimes kids that don't really want to eat food, they are already iron deficient, it can be a vicious cycle. So actually looking at their iron levels might be really important. And also the multivitamin that we have in the line does not have any sugar in it. So you can get everything you need from that as well. And then you would top it up with other nutrients that you're missing from diet.
Great. And there's one more question that came through. Does Moducare help with seasonal allergies?
Yes, 100%. And you can take Moducare year round. So you could start now, in about a month and a half, you'll start seeing a benefit of the Moducare for your son's allergies. And then as the next allergy season comes upon you, you may notice that it is either dramatically reduced in symptoms and severity or gone completely.
Great. A couple of more questions rolling in here. So from Laura, if you suspect your child may be deficient in some vitamins and minerals, are there blood tests for a full panel as opposed to one test just for iron?
Yes. So depending which ones you're thinking of, yes. So normally they focus on your complete blood panel, which would have your iron, your hemoglobin, your immune side of it. And then also they can add in heavy metals, they can do zinc, they can add all those things in. They can even test for vitamin D as well in the same blood draw. So you could always ask, if you think they have one deficiency, ask the pediatrician or the health practitioner, what can we do at the same time? How many tests can we hit so we don't have to come back if something is a red flag and we have to have a follow-up? We did that with my daughter. They did heavy metals. They did everything on the first go. And that really set us up to find a big picture of where she was sitting. And for us, it really was her iron. That was our big issue. And the other items were all, if they were on the low side, they weren't deficient, and a multivitamin was able to get us back in the right range.
Great. That sounds awesome. Is there any last questions coming through? Don't see any more. If not, I just want to thank you guys all for joining us this evening. We hope you all learned something new, and please join us for our next talk. You can see all of our upcoming events at naturesfair.com. And thank you so much, Caitlyn.
Thank you very much, everybody. I appreciate it.
Have a wonderful night, everyone. Thank you.